I consider it a great privilege to be part of the information sections organized by AfterSchoolAfrica.
So how do you finance your master's degree abroad? The straightforward way is that you have the money. But of course, life is not always as straightforward as we want it to be. Then you begin to look for financial assistance. And the first place to look at is scholarship.
I'm mad that I did not meet Kena and Empower 20-something years ago when I went abroad. Because back then I had to figure everything out myself. But the good thing is I was lucky that I met people along the way that taught me. But everything I did, I could have done it shorter.
Data technology, so it's very important and intentional. But the course you're going for, the school you're going for, what you've been doing so far till now for you to want to go and school, it's very important that you're able to, narrate that and provide us all the documents that we need.
All the questions needed to have answers to, I was able to get everything. The facilitators were able to do justice to everything.
I know I'm kind of young, right? Look like I'm 20, right? I look like I'm 20. But there was nobody actually to show me the road. The internet was at its infant stages at that point. I mean, you had emails, but you didn't have Google. There was no way for you to do proper research, like some of you are able to do and what brought you here, right? So back then, I had to go to, I don't even know if they still have it, the International USIS, United States Information Service. They used to have an office in Marina back then. So you had to go there and you had to read all these big books, right? So I said that to say that my story going to the US, I'm fortunate to have gone to the US on scholarship. And I'm also fortunate while in the US to have gone to do my MBA with a loan. So maybe I should start with my story. First of all, my story is that I said, just like you, when I was younger, because of music, Dr. Dre and Snoop, I wanted to go to America. So I had to go to USIS to find out information, and eventually I found out enough information that if I did certain exams, the SAT at the time, if I had a good score, that I could get in the US. And I was lucky. I found a school, I applied, I got in. Right? I don't know how many of us think that we are smart enough to get a scholarship. Okay, that's good. And I think it's important to know that it is possible. I know in Nigeria, the average Nigerian does not think that somebody will just give you free money, right? But I'm here to tell you that it's extremely possible. And I said, I did this about 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago actually, right? So that was then, and now there's a whole lot more information on these scholarships. So if you have any doubt in your mind that you can get them, yes, you can get them, and when you get the scholarship, nobody's going to chase you, right? So you can get the scholarship, when you graduate, nobody will follow you like, after I got the scholarship, nobody followed me afterwards. So there is free money out there. And if you are intelligent enough to get it, you can actually go and get it, right? So I graduated, worked a couple of years, then it was time to do my MBA. And the school I chose to go to is extremely expensive and it's hard to get into. So I went to an organization called MIT. So MIT is one of the top tier schools in the world, and to get into there is hard. So you have to get a certain level of score, which I was fortunate to get, and you had to tell a good story to get in. So I was able to do that. However, I had to take a loan. I know for most Nigerians, the thought of a loan is something that is really foreign to us. Because in our system, Nigeria, we don't, you know how hard it is to get a loan. An example, how many of us have ever taken a loan before? So only 4 people, okay, let's try it one more time. How many have ever taken a loan before? Online, okay. I'll say about 5% of the population here have ever taken a loan, which is actually, I didn't think that much, but it's good, right? For the rest of you that have never taken a loan before, loans are possible. It is possible to get a loan, especially when you are going to certain schools that are accredited. So I see the great work that Ikena is doing and Empower are doing is fundamental, because I think a lot of us do not believe in the concept of loan. But it is possible, there's money out there. I guess the other piece I think we are not wired to believe in is, what if I take this loan? How will I pay back? Right? Usually, okay, let me use myself as an example, right? I told you I went to MIT, which is a top school. So usually when you go to programs, like within MIT, for example, which is a top school, there are companies that are available for you to interview. As a Nigerian, I'm like, come to the office afterwards. For what? So I went to his office. You know that he sat me down. He was like, oh, Philip, you're from Nigeria. I'm like, yeah. We spoke. He gave me tea. And we spoke for like 30 minutes about everything but school. Then eventually, he was like, oh, Philip, why did you come to my office? And I told him why I came to the office. And he taught me one-on-one. I said this to say that, how many of us went to school here? I'm assuming you're all here. I'm assuming everybody went to school here, right? Has your professor ever told you to come to his office to teach you something that you did not learn in class? No, never. You know, I still gave you, even tea self, you gave me Milo. Right? You know? So I said this to say that, in a way, as you are embarking on this journey, you have to think that where you are going, it's a change in mindset. The system is different. So maybe I have some friends that said, I've always been smart throughout my education in Nigeria. That's not, but it's just what it is. But I have people that I didn't think were as smart as I am. Now in the US, they are killing. They are doing so well. Why? Because the system wants you to achieve. Right? So the fear that, oh, I'm not good enough, in a way you have to put that to the side. Are you hungry? Is everybody here hungry to go abroad? No, all the ginger are not strong. Is everybody hungry here to go abroad? Yeah. So if you are hungry to go abroad, I said, I am mad that I did not meet Ikena and Empower 20-something years ago when I went abroad. Because back then I have to figure everything out myself. But the good thing is I was lucky that I met people along the way that taught me. But everything I did, I could have done it shorter. Right? But if you are here and the thought is in your head that you want to go abroad, know for one, it is possible. Like I said, I got a full scholarship to go to US about 20-something years ago. Right? I got a loan to go back to your question. When you get loan, you repay it. So think about it, I am in Nigeria repaying my loan in the US. So it's not as easy now as before, but the point is that I can pay it. So then again, if you are thinking about going abroad, this is really the best way I think you can do so. So rather than me spending a lot of time talking about some additional things I have on here, let me address a few things. Working on campus, right? Sometimes when you go abroad, I'll speak on the US because this is typically, I'm assuming the same thing probably happens in Canada. There is a limit to how many hours you can work. Like in the US, it was 20 hours. Yeah, it's still 20, right? So it's like 20 hours that you can work on campus. So that is probably enough money to give you some money to move around. But remember, those jobs are also competitive. Right? Some people, if you are doing like a master's program, if you are smart enough, usually like your first semester, you figure out what make friends with teachers. Because usually the professors give TAs, which are like technical assistants. So if you have a good grade in the class and the teacher likes you, then you are able to, but again, those are competitive. So when you are living here, the same hustle that we do in Nigeria, just think about going to do the same hustle in the US in a system that will probably pay the hustle more, right? So that's any questions around working, maybe since I'm on that, any questions on that? Okay, so that's on that accreditation of schools. I know now with the internet, if you go online and you do a search, you probably see a boatload of schools, right? So you figure out, the first thing I think you should make sure that you check out is the accreditation of the school, because that will affect the companies that come on campus to recruit. And if you are thinking about repayment of loan and the opportunities that exist, you have to think around how strong is this school that companies that I would like to work for. Because typically most of these schools, they post where the companies are recruit within them, right? So these are things that you should be looking into and checking out, which would help your journey. Then I think at this point, instead of me talking, I'll just leave it open to questions. Any questions that you would have about the journey or things that you think that I can probably shed some light on based on my experience? Sure. Is that another mic? Yeah, just keep it in mind.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to everybody here. So my only question is, while schooling abroad, further in the US,
yes,
are you permitted to work within the term of hours?
Yes, so I think I mentioned that earlier. So basically, if you are working in the US, the visa that you get, it limits the amount of hours you can work. I believe it's still 20 hours. So, and I'm not sure if you can work off the bat. I was able to work off the bat, then I was not thinking about the legal ramifications. But you can work 20 hours in the US with the visa. Maybe you can confirm that, but I believe that's the case. 20 hours working on campus.
But that's good.
Yeah.
Not only what I want to do.
Okay, cool. Any other questions? Maybe you? Yeah, Hugh, just bring the mic over to you.
Good morning. My name is Tosi. I would like to know why you're paying back your loan. At what point did you start paying back that loan? Now, I also want to know that, for instance, I'm going to state and then I want to get to study, and then I don't have anything, maybe even the whole lot of money that I have on me. I just want to spend it on some basic needs. So, at what point did you start paying back that loan?
Okay.
And then secondly, I want to know, if I graduate and then I get a work, luckily, if I don't get a work at a point in time, at what point do you expect me to start paying back the loan? I want to know also if actually the money is going to, I don't know, increase at a point when I start earning. So I just want to know how these things plays out. Thank you.
Maybe what I would do is I would answer based on my experience. Then also, I think the Empower Lady will shed more light onto how their particular loan situation works. So for my experience, I started paying the loan it was due for payment once I graduated. But for me, because I was moving to Nigeria, I asked them to defer. But I don't think, I said that was my specific situation because of how I got my loan. But in that deference, there is a charge. So it's more money because at the end of the day, the interest starts charging as soon. She will talk about their own. I'm not sure when my interest starts charging, to be honest. I believe it's when you graduate I I can't remember, but I think it is when you graduate, because I didn't check many of these things, but ultimately, as soon as you graduate, you are expected within a period of time to start paying. Because from MIT, once you graduate, they know when you got a job, right? So ultimately, you start paying as soon as you get the job. So for me also, you asked the question is that over time, does the money get bigger? In my situation again, the rates are fixed. So I think over time, based on how quickly I paid, the interest went down, but it was marginal to be honest. But ultimately, the main thing I think for me is getting a job upon graduation, because it's based on that job. Now paying that loan doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't put me in a bad situation, because the reason why I'm in the situation I am in is because of the job. So paying off the loan is it's actually a very small part of my life. I don't even think about it now. I actually have an automatic payment. So they take the money out automatically. So I don't worry about paying. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, you said something earlier. Ike, please, my name is so sorry.
Oh, yeah, how you doing?
Very well. So you said something, you had a scholarship, I believe that was for you.
Yes, undergrad. Undergrad, yes.
And your master's was for the...
Yes, the loan. Yes, I got a loan.
Now, I want to know, what's the time frame for you to cover up? You say you still pay. What's the time frame, and what was the initial percentage of the loan, the interest?
Very good questions. So the time frame of repayment, to be honest, is, if you know the way the US system works, let me just tell you a slight story. I went to see my doctor a while back, and that day I went to see him. He's an older guy, maybe older guy. I remember then, I hadn't gone to do my master's then, and he mentioned something. He was like, oh, that he just finished paying his student loan. In my head, I'm like, you are old, why are you just finishing paying your student loan? The point I'm trying to make here is that repayments for my, loan, whatever, it was based on how much you want to pay. To be honest, I can actually pay my loan off now. Right? But I am choosing not to, because I have other things I would rather use my money for. So that's my choice. I can pay off my student loan right now. I have the money, I have the cash to pay it off. But I am doing some other things with my money now, that paying off the student loan is not my priority. I'm just giving them based on what's not choking me, as we say in Nigeria, what's not giving me any. Then you asked another question about the rate. I have to check what my rate is. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I have to check that for you. Yeah. So, any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert. My own question is that for some of us that are married,
yes,
would you allow to move here with your partner, or with your family? Would the loan permit you to move together with your partner?
Moving your spouse, that's a good question. I think maybe that's something but to be honest, I'll just give my own perspective. Like, it depends on the person. I think that's a personal choice, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to factor in the cost of living. So I don't know if the loan that you would take. Okay, sorry, let me pass that to Kenan.
So in most cases, the loan is specifically for your study. It's for your tuition and probably your living expenses that only covers for you. So the loan company is not considering you're bringing your family. If you're bringing family, then you have to take care of that by yourself. But the loan is often for your study. And you're not expected to use it for anything else other than for the study.
Lifestyle question.
Yes.
Based on me. Apparently, I wished it was somebody else that maybe had gone through the empower route that was talking to us, but a loan is a loan.
Yes.
So I wanted to know, based on lifestyle, you've collected this loan. What are the checkmates? Like, what are the things you put in place to ensure that you pay this loan, it doesn't choke you? In the case, because yes, you might collect this loan and you get a good job, But life happens at times. You understand? You could have some situations that are pressing. So, based on your own experience, that's why I said it's a lifestyle question.
Yes.
How have you been able to check things? What are the constraints you've put in place to ensure that you don't default?
No, that's a very good question. I think for me, my lifestyle, I've always lived a base lifestyle. I've had a lot of fun. I mean, I travel a couple of times a year, which is going back to like, I have a choice to pay the loan, but I'm choosing to live. You know, and I brought that story about that my doctor because I didn't want to go into the extra things he said. But he was like, this loan is there, you know, I have gotten the loan, the dude is doing very well. There is no point in me rushing to pay this loan. That I'd rather take that money to live than to pay the loan. Some people's mindset is different, they want to pay the loan and be good with, you know, but it's a personal choice. So in terms of like what things I have put in place, kind of like when I was in the US, I got a house. So right now I am renting out the house. So my house is helping me pay the loan. So I'm using my house for Airbnb, and I'm lucky, thank God for Airbnb because it wasn't there when I started. But at some point the house was choking me, but at some point the house now became an investment. Because I'm in Nigeria now, and my house, I'm renting out the house. Because of Airbnb, I'm able to make above the mortgage. So I just take the money from the mortgage and just use that to fund but before that happened, at some point I was paying that mortgage and still had money to pay the loan. So ultimately, I'm saying this to say that, yes, I went to MIT, so the opportunities that existed for me was maybe more than the regular. However, if you want to go abroad and you are serious about it and you are choosing this education route, if you put your heart and soul, it will give back to you. I spoke about the going to my lecturer's office, but that is really how the system is in the US. Like, they actually want you to succeed. Nobody is telling you that, oh, A is for God, C is for you know, all those, you know what I'm talking about, where there is no limit to what you, I mean, let me side story again. In the US, sometimes a lecturer might tell you that they give what they call extra assignments. So it is possible for you to score 120% out of 100. So if you do all the extra assignments, they add to your grade. But obviously 120 is, you know, 100 is 100, right? So in my first year, I didn't do any final exam. Why? Because I did every extra assignment. The average American doesn't do every extra assignment. But me, because of how hungry I was and how much I wasn't taking any chances, you know, I did all that stuff. Right? You know? So if you are somebody that is, book is your way, if you are a nerd, like I grew up as a nerd, the West is the place to be a nerd. Right? So, any other questions? Yes, let's get a lady. Please, a round of applause for the lady, please. A round of applause for that.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm sorry, I don't know, I might have to take us back a little bit. I
Sure.
came in late, and I think maybe my question will be directed to the organizers of this event, to you in particular. But basically, maybe if we can have a recap of all that has been said so far. But most importantly, I would like to know the rate at which the loan needs to be repaid, and for how long will that be? Also, if I finish schooling in America, for instance, and I need to go to another country, I mean, can I still be paying back? How does it work? I think I came in when they were only talking about the benefits of taking the loan, so I think I've really lost out on a lot of things. So if you can just do a little bit of...
I think I'll just touch the last part of that. Then I think when the Empower lady comes, she will cover a lot about the interest rates and the repayment tenure. I'll just touch the last piece of that. Ultimately, what people care about, as you can see, I am in Nigeria. and I am paying a foreign loan, right? So what they care about is you paying. If the US is not the place that you want to settle, if it's, I don't know, Alaska, what they care about is your payment of loan. There's no restrictions on, they're on your, it's not like, what do you call all those, is it, Sapo was, Lapo, it's not like Lapo where they are calling you and wishing that you die. You know, it's not one of, you know, it's not one of those scenarios like, all pay ahead, you know. Remember again, I think the fundamental thing in Nigeria is that we are not used to loans, right? And more importantly, we are not used to student loans. Student loans, they are not asking for, it's your potential that is being graded, right? Versus a collateral. I said, I'll let her talk about those pieces, but ultimately it's you. Like, we are not used to that. Okay, I guess Tinubu has introduced a student loan. Anybody else like that loan? Nobody? Really? Nobody? I said that. Now, but ultimately, just change your mind. Think of, if I think of when I was going to the US, I mean, back then, there was no internet like that. So all the information I had about the US was what I saw on TV, right? For lack of a better word, it's a different system. It's a place where the system actually works. So I know we as Nigerians, we are frustrated on the way many things work here. You know, if you do A, it doesn't turn into B. But if there is a surefire way to get into the West and be successful in the West, is through education. Because other means, I said I have friends that have gone through different other means. We are all keeping tab. Some of them, I told them, they didn't believe. I actually had a friend I told about the scholarship. Back then, he didn't believe me. He just traveled about 3 or 4 years ago. And for a guy that was a bank manager, I know what he's doing now. Right? But I told him about how I got there. So I'm saying this to say that it's important to know that these opportunities do exist. Like when I started, I said that I was jealous that you had the Empower folks and Ikena to show you the way. I didn't have anybody to show me the way. So if you are dead bent on going abroad and you are someone that is educationally minded, right, this is a path that does exist. So I think that being said, if you open up your heart to receive it and do your own research, you know, in life you don't take anything everybody says, do your own research. But the point is that this path does exist, and you know. So any more questions? Sorry.
Good morning. My name is Osai. Okay, my name is Osai. Just to buttress on the question this guy asked about, I don't think you really answered it. I want to believe that if a student is successful, maybe an offer would be given. So what's the duration? Do you understand that?
Yes. So if it's on the loan, she will answer the question. Yeah, I didn't want to, you know, so it's their program. So she will answer, she will answer the question. Yeah.
So the second question is, like, during my research also, I also want to do an MBA. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
So I'm happy that I've seen someone that has gone through the process.
Yes.
So while I was doing the research and the schools and stuff, you know, it just buttresses what they are saying. That, because for instance, they were saying that the starting salary was about $170,000.
Yes.
Do you understand? So I want, and that after graduation, so obviously you have to do very well and stuff like that. So after graduation, 97% of the students get jobs. So I used to think maybe they were just putting that on the side.
Oh no, I can address that directly. If you are saying those numbers, then I know that you went to a top school. Which school is this?
It's okay, Rice University and University of Texas. So I want to go to Texas.
Yes, my close friend went to Rice. So Rice is, they're up there.
So I don't know, so those numbers, are they really true?
No, they're, I said, remember again, Rice and, I think Rice is in Texas, right? Yes, so the reason why, again, each school has where people come to recruit. A lot of people that go to Rice, because it's in Texas, if you know the way the US is, oil money is in Texas. Right? So Texas has a lot of oil money and agriculture, I think, also. But there are companies that fundamentally recruit only from certain schools. So when you say 97%, I know individuals within my class, we have multiple job offers, but you can only take one. So if you have like a class of, let's say 1,000 people, right? MBA class of 1,000 people. In every class there is a ranking. Means that there are people that will be very smart students, but the very smart person can only take one job. Right? So he takes one job, then everybody else has opportunity. Let's say the next ranking B people come and take their own. But that company, they only recruit at that, they have a mandate to recruit at that school. They have a number of people that they have to recruit. So those numbers are not lies. Like I said, in my class of MIT, everybody got a job. But some people chose not to work. Because they want to start their own business, so they push entrepreneurship, they want to do all these things. So it's many schools have that same kind of numbers. Again, it is how, if you are going to make this move to go abroad, your mindset has to change. Or one of the smart people, because everybody in the room is smart. Right? So if you are going to go to these schools, you really have to work hard. You have to put a lot of time, study. I mean, at MIT, the first time I did a project all weekend and I still failed. Right? Because the problem was hard. Right? So she will answer the question around the, I know that that's something that is buzzing people's heads. She will answer the question around the payment and the, yeah. So any more questions? Actually, let me check that question. How did you pay? Okay, somebody asked, I think I answered this already. Specifically, how did you pay your loans? I think I answered that piece. That's, yeah. What did you do after you studied? So after I studied, I had options to go and work in the US. But for me, I'm a patriotic Nigerian. But now clap for me now. Or you. So all of you are not patriotic, eh? No, but seriously though, I had the option to work in the US. I had a few offers, but I chose to come to Nigeria because at that time I was in a bad space mentally. I left when I was young, to go and do my MBA, to go and do my undergrad, and all these years, if you live in the West, my head was just not in the right place. I just missed my parents. I missed home. I know it sounds crazy, like to Nigeria, I'm like, but I missed home, and I have the belief, my pedigree, I'll get a job. Job is not an issue, based on how I've packaged myself. Right? I have done the work. I've worked in great companies while I was in the US. In Nigeria, I'm working for General Electric. I've done some side projects so I know I can get a job. If I want to get a job next 2 weeks or whatever, I'll get a job. But I wanted to be home, and the way God would have it, a couple of years being home, my mom passed. So the thing that brought me home, I'm glad I did that, which was to know my parents. Because as a young boy, if you are Nigerians, you don't know your parents. Most of you don't know your parents. If I ask many of you, what did your parents, who was your first boyfriend? Your mother. You don't know. Right? You don't know anything about your parents. Like your parents raised you, they love you, you know they love you, but you don't know them. When you call them on the phone, hey mommy, how are you? I'm fine. What's going on in the house? 5 minutes, I don't finish call. Right? So me coming back home, I got to know my parents. So that to me is, I know it sounds cheesy to one guy like, when are you going back? I'm going back next year, Sha, so now I know them. Anything, we have time for maybe 2 more questions based on the time. Sure, go ahead. Where is the mic? Yeah, I'll hear you just for the rest of the people.
I just want to confirm the countries, is it just limited to US and Canada?
Yes, for this particular program, yes.
My question goes like this. Is Empower responsible for the tuition fee and the accommodation while you get down there?
Yeah, so he'll come and talk to, she will come and talk to that piece. So the piece on what they are responsible for, the kind of loan, she will give more details on the specifics of the loan, yes.
Okay, that will be good.
Because my goal was just to maybe show you what's possible, the fact that this is not a myth. Somebody can actually go on scholarship. I went to the US on scholarship 20-something years ago, and I actually have a student loan that I'm paying off now. And the loan is a very small part of my life. I don't think about it. They automatically take the money out of my pocket. So.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I would like to ask, at the end of studies, like maybe at the expiration of the student visa, will one be required to get specific kind of jobs that would sponsor kind of job sponsorship, sponsorship jobs that would be to sponsor one to stay in the US or Canada?
So I would answer that just based on what I know about immigration, having lived, because, okay, let me step back again. I did not, as at the time I went to do my MBA, I did not have my papers yet. I had my papers, my working, in the US, you have working visa. So I had what's called a working visa, a H1 visa, right? So when I graduated, I've been able to, within that time and now, to get what is called, I'm a citizen now, let's put it that way, right? But when I was in business school, when I was in business school, I didn't have my full papers yet. So to your question, when you get in, obviously you're on a student visa, so you have to identify those companies that provide the opportunity for you to get your green card and to get a stay. So that's something that, she will also talk to you about, where you work with their program to help identify those companies. But I said, I was joking that I didn't have that. As a Nigerian guy, you have to know which companies are giving quality. You know them, and you only interview at those companies. And I always try to be the best, so I presented myself as the best, and I was able to get those opportunities. So that is my time. I'll still be here, so if you have any questions that are outside of this, you can still ask me later on. So let me transfer control back to
Thank you so much, Mr. Philip. I think we can do better than that. Right? So we allowed him time so he can ask all the questions, and happy to see all the questions coming out. And that was the intent is for him to share from his experience as someone who has benefited from things like this, scholarship and then student loan. Right, so I saw the questions coming towards Empower, the loans and all of that. So we are on that section right now. So someone who mentioned whether they came in late or not, you are not late to listen to that session. Did anybody take away something from Mr. Philip? Okay, awesome. Let's appreciate him again.